I wanted to do a review for you guys because I haven't done one in a while. It is X, the other A24 film that people have been begging me to go see. At first glance, it looks like a pure homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? The house looks similar. The setting is similar. You can kind of feel that Texas heat or whatever just in the frame. And that's what it looks like and feels like at first glance. But what Ty West achieves is actually a much more profound meditation on the impact of sexuality on the human psyche, particularly repressed sexuality. I think I was not expecting for there to be such profound statements on what the repression of sexuality can do. And whereas a lot of old slashers kind of take sexuality and make it something dirty and awful that, like, you know, it was almost kind of this weird way of being like, oh, that person had teen sex. No wonder they're getting killed, right? Like, that was like one of the tropes in a Jason movie. It's like, you know, you have one of your teens and he's like, I'm going to smoke some weed. I'm getting laid. And I'm fucking dead. Right? Like, it was almost like the precursor to getting murdered was like doing some drugs and having sex meant that you were fucking murdered, right? And it kind of drew this like strange morality between the two where it was like, these teens were breaking the rules. These teens were breaking the rules, and that's why they got killed by Jason. And this film, it will surprise you because at first it seems to be this very trite, humorous kind of cursory glance at professional sex work and the porn industry. And then there are some very profound moments peppered in there, particularly one kind of long form conversation that the characters have about love versus sex and how someone can achieve love and separate their sex life from their love. And I think I was just pleasantly surprised by that because this, like, don't get me wrong, this is a fucking slasher. This movie is a slasher, about the most pure slasher that I've seen in a decade. Like, more so even than the Halloween requels or the Scream requel that came out recently. There is some David Argento level fuckery going on in the frame. Some real pure violence. In fact, the first kill of this movie goes on for about 2 minutes longer than you would expect it to go on for. And you're like, oh God, stop, he's already dead. Spoilers. Yeah, let me spoil this for you. In a slasher movie, people get killed. I hate to do that to you. Slashers are probably going to be ruined for you for forever. But yeah, spoiler, in horror movies, people typically are killed. So, sorry about that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and the more I sit with it, you know, the more it kind of has these really kitschy, fun appeals to it that I didn't expect it to have. All the kind of silly Schadenfreude enjoyment of classic slashers with a soul worked in there somewhere, where on some interesting observations that I don't think I've seen much outside of this film. It's interesting because I would compare this film to Malignant. I don't know if you guys saw Malignant, but Malignant was another film that attempted to kind of recreate the joy and the terror of old Argento horror films. And Malignant was great, and it did some very cool things, but I think I would slightly give the edge to a film like X, as opposed to Malignant. Malignant felt like a kind of confused, shiny update of the slasher genre. X felt like a homage that took maybe a informed, substantive step into having a more meaningful impact than the films it was based on. Do you think this movie will play a major part in advancing the horror genre, maybe similar to how Saw or Get Out? No, I don't. I don't think it will have the same broad appeal as Get Out or Saw. Saw had a major impact because I think it was just a very well-written script, the first one. There was almost kind of like this Usual Suspects moment, this tremendous bit of writing where it's like, oh, the whole time at the end of Saw that I think really roped people in. And made the completion of the film very satisfying. And then I think all the sequels were kind of chasing that moment and never really accomplished. I think Get Out makes some of the pithiest race commentary ever achieved on screen, nestled within a horror movie, and it's very accessible because it's humorous and it's well done and well acted. But I don't think X will have that impact because I think human sexuality, unlike the issue of racism, is much more nuanced, right? Racism you can look at and you can affirmatively be like, that's bad. Don't do that. Don't fucking do that. And I think Get Out achieves a lot of nuance. This isn't me saying that Get Out doesn't achieve nuance. It absolutely does. I think some of the most important moments in that film are the nuanced ones, like I would have voted for Obama a third term, and he doesn't get how that's uncomfortable. But I think the broad appeal of that kind of like meditation at the time it happened was much more imperative than, let's say, the United States' puritanical leanings, even in 2022, and how behind other developed countries we are in terms of like the way that we look at sexuality and the way that we teach sexuality and the way that we kind of oppress natural instincts within sexuality. Worth watching, in my opinion. Very much worth watching. A film that I think I will revisit at some point. And a refreshing look at a classic film genre like the slasher.